Welcome back to Kryptolytix, giving you a fresh take on crypto analytics. And this is your crypto recap, where I cover some of the things that are going on in the crypto space. So let's jump in. Okay, so here we are on the cycle chart. I guess before jumping into this, let you know that I timestamp everything down below. So if you're not that interested in, Bitcoin price and stuff like that, and you just want to, see more about the Solana ecosystem or Injective ecosystem, etc., then make sure you check the timestamps down below, and you can just jump straight ahead to what you're interested in. So I like to cover Bitcoin price action at the start of these videos, mainly because, well, Bitcoin drives the entire crypto space, right? So it's always good to get a rough idea of what we could be looking at or what's going on with Bitcoin to then gauge what's going to happen across the board with crypto as a whole. Now, I mean, there's some coins who have just been doing their own thing, like Solana has been absolutely ripping, and a few others as well, while Bitcoin is kind of in sideways. So let's have a quick look here. Now, I drew this parabola and showed this in the last video. So we're still well and truly above that, and sort of the actual parabola line is sitting at around, at least directly below is about 50K. And if we come up to where the halving is, it's about 58K. So, I mean, Bitcoin's just going nuts. Now, there's a few things that are a little different on this chart since the last time I showed it. And the main thing is this ghost pattern here. So you might be wondering, well, what is that? Is that where Bitcoin's going to go? Well, maybe, we don't actually know, but maybe this could be the potential path to the 1.618. And how did I get this number? Well, you see down the bottom here, this is the risk index. So the risk index I've also got overlaid with a new indicator that I developed, which is the TK cross, which uses the Ichimoku Cloud TK cross. And this is using the crypto settings, not the legacy settings. And it's also measured on the weekly. So generally, if this, if it's kind of green in the background here, then that's a bull market. And if it's red in the background here, then that's a confirmed bear market. It's quite lagging, so it waits for confirmation. But have a look at where we are right now with the risk index. So the risk index I've shown in previous videos before, and I worked out sort of how high we were in the last cycle. So this is what I'm talking about here. So that's the 28th of December in 2020. So essentially I just grabbed what price action was at that point when we're this high up in the risk index and just copied it straight over across here. So you can see that's the price action from here to the absolute top, which was the second peak. And this would kind of work with the double peak, double narrative cycle. So we've got ETF inflows and the Bitcoin halving this cycle, where we didn't really have two bullish catalysts in the last cycle. So, or in any previous cycles, all we really had was the halving. So now we've got the flows as well. Now we did correct a little bit on Bitcoin, and maybe that could be because the flows have slowed down a little bit. That's what people are saying. But I mean, only a few days ago, we had 1 billion in inflows. So I'm not really sure where the bearishness comes from there, but Bitcoin's pretty overheated, and I'll show in a few other charts in a minute, but it's pretty overheated. It needs a break essentially. And also with regards to this ghost pattern, that kind of lines up with a potential shortened and compressed cycle target, which would be at the start of next year, because we have run up significantly prematurely. So this would be the estimated bull market duration if we sort of went up in a relaxed kind of way like we did in the last cycle. But I've just taken the cycle prior and popped this here. So if we get a compressed cycle, that's the 1.618 target sort of potential anyway, and that's about 162K. I mean, we could go higher, we could go lower than that, who knows? But that definitely gets us into sort of the top. Now, let me just hide all the drawings for now. I did cover this in my last video. I think I'm just going to leave this as the standard sort of setup now, because now that we're ripping up and we've broken out of this channel here, it's kind of worth just looking and seeing where the next potential points, and these are Fibonacci-based logarithmic regression lines, where our potential resistances are based on this alone. Now, the next sort of major, at least Fibonacci-based regression line we have is at about 82K. Now, I think once we're finished consolidating here, then I believe that's probably the next place we'll go, is 82K. Since we are in price discovery, we can't really look back at prior sort of cycle sort of price targets. But, I mean, it's still kind of interesting nevertheless. So anyway, Bitcoin is still in an uptrend, and, things are looking pretty good. We're definitely going to get some choppiness and some pullbacks here or there, but, sky's the limit at this point. At least in the short term, we did get some pretty aggressive selling after a V-shaped recovery. So we had this sort of initial dump off, and then the V-shaped recovery, and then that was completely engulfed, which is not the most bullish of price action, if I'm honest. And I did say in the last video that we're a little exhausted at this point on Bitcoin, but that doesn't mean we're exhausted on altcoins, right? Some altcoins could run while Bitcoin takes a breather and sort of resets a little bit. Because one other thing, I was saying is that I haven't seen the stochastic heat map this hot ever, personally. And I've only been following it since last year, at the start of the year. But the stochastic heat map is the reddest. It literally filled up the entire stochastic heat map with red. Never seen that before. But basically the lines are hold, or at least, if this is just a sort of a bounce or like a small correction before we continue up, then essentially right here, this green line, that's our line to hold, right? And if we fail that, then we'll probably come back down to 65K. Now, I said that in a post already on X, and we did come back down here as a support, and it was just a little bit above that, but that's your 21 smooth moving average on the 12-hour. We do need to hold this level. And if we're due for a deeper pullback, that's probably a little bit too much. But, if we're just going to mean revert back to the bull market support band, which is the 21 EMA 20-week SMA, then essentially that's at 46K. I just don't see that we'll get back down that far. Pretty much there's just a lot of strong supports within this region here between 65 and, 53. So I don't think we're ready for a retest of the bull market support band. Maybe we do grind sideways, so that gives it time to come up after a few weeks, and then we can come down to retest it. But anyway, I'm not going to bank on that at this stage because we are in a raging bull market. But it would be healthy. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it would be healthy for a bit of a pullback, at least for a little bit. Now, according to Michael Pazzino, the daily Bitcoin trend has now failed. Now, that's just short term, right? So we're still, the 1 week uptrend is still intact. But according to him, remember, short term breaks first, then comes the next time frame of a higher degree. As of now, 1 hour, 4 hour, and daily are all broken, and the 1 week is still intact, according to him. So that's definitely something to sort of consider. But also another thing to consider is only a couple of days ago, we had 1 billion in net inflows, as I mentioned. Look at this, just insane. So, if it slows down, that's because $1 billion just came in to Bitcoin. So it's just, at this stage, there's just so much money coming in. And as I said in my last video, if there is a pause in liquidity, or maybe all the big buyers who are just buying for the sake of buying, or just to make sure that they've got exposure to it, they slow down potentially. And then the next sort of line are the ones that are waiting to maybe buy dips, like as in buy into ETFs when price comes down a bit. I think they're the next ones that'll probably step up. So I think if we do see some sort of dip in price, we'll see some pretty big inflows. That's my best guess at this stage. So that's why I'm thinking like a pullback in Bitcoin would be amazing. And that would just send price higher, essentially, and it would surge. So, the ones who are just going to jump in for the sake of jumping in, while, they might be at the sort of tail end of their just making sure they have exposure, potentially. But anyway, with all these flows coming in, and just even only a couple of days ago, I don't see that much evidence yet that the flows have slowed down significantly. Interesting here that the US government sold 9,800 Bitcoin for 215 million exactly 1 year ago. That would be worth 700 million today. This is what they get. This was actually from the Silk Road, which is interesting. But if that's the case, then they've actually held on to that for a long time, surely. I can't remember when that thing went down, but it was a while ago, right? So, they've been holding on to it for quite a while. So I guess they're up overall, but if they just held on to it until the bull market and not just cheated it like some noobs, then essentially they would have almost 4x their money, essentially. So anyway, I think my response to this was US government not going to make it. Yeah, anyway, that's just my opinion, I guess. Also, El Salvador have bought more Bitcoin, so they purchased even more, bringing their total to 5,690 Bitcoin, and that's worth $397 million at this stage, right? Now, when or if Bitcoin hits $1 million per coin, which I'm sure it'll happen, between now and 2030, El Salvador will have 5.6 billion in Bitcoin. Now, I initially thought that was a large number, but then I'm thinking nation states owning Bitcoin, well, this is the rest of South America, essentially. So this is Brazil, Argentina. So this is just comparison of El Salvador GDP plus Bitcoin holdings to South American countries in just GDP. So they're actually a really, really small economy in all of South America. They're also tiny as well. So I don't really know what kind of exports and stuff they have or their GDP. But I'm sure this will be on the up anyway. over the next decade, I suppose. But yeah, they're pretty small, I guess, comparatively. And we don't know if any of these other South American countries are buying Bitcoin as well. Another thing I look at is the debt to GDP, I suppose. And yeah, I mean, that kind of rearranges the whole plot significantly. So this chart shows the debt to GDP of El Salvador and some selected South American countries. The ratios provide an insight into how much debt each country has in relation to its economic size. So Argentina has a really large debt to GDP, indicating that it has a significantly higher amount of debt to their GDP. So, I mean, what this illustrates to me is that they've got a lot of debt, I guess, so they probably will need to overcome that. But, I mean, you know, it remains to be seen how much of a success story El Salvador will be for their aggressively buying of Bitcoin. I guess we see Bullish only posts about El Salvador and they're buying Bitcoin and being crypto friendly. I think with a lot of crypto people from, you know, the United States, we'll probably start moving there, and you know, I don't know what they will do for the economy there, but you know, it might be good for it, I suppose, overall. Okay, that's enough about Bitcoin. Let's get on to Solana price and ecosystem updates. Now, price has been going crazy. So we hit about around 190. So that's just on the price. We actually hit an all-time inflation adjusted high, and I'll show how like an easier to understand visual of that anyway in just a second. But we've just smashed it. I mean, we've taken out most resistances with ease. I mean, this was a resistance here. You could see this was kind of rejected back in here, and that was your 170 level. And we just cleared it completely. So at this stage, I think the targets are just the all-time high, really. Like, let's be honest. You know, we got 212 right here as a next level, and then we've got 259 as a level after that. So, I mean, price has been going absolutely bonkers. Back in Feb, when I was talking about my long and my short trades and stuff like that with Sol, I mean, this is just still holding, essentially, and it's just going ballistic. This is a 12-hour chart, essentially. But regardless, I think it's pretty crazy. I mean, most of my Sol is in spot holding, so... And also, I mean, bulls are waiting for 200, but if you used liquid stake derivatives like Marinade Stake Sol, for example, and there's others like B-Sol, Jito Sol, among others, but M-Sol essentially is already at $200. It's at 210. So there you go. That's why liquid staking is amazing. And actually that was the other day, so it's probably worth more now. So anyway, that was yesterday that I posted this. So it's probably worth a little more than that, but regardless, there you go. So we're at 210 on liquid stake derivatives of Solana anyway. And I just find it crazy that even though the rest of the market is dipping, Solana just ignores it completely and then puts in new 52-week highs. So this is Solana just going absolutely nuts and not caring at all about the rest of the market, which is pushing up the Solana dominance. So it's actually approaching its all-time high. So Solana stays strong as the crypto space as a whole is seeing a bit more selling pressure. So this is our Solana dominance chart on a absolute tear. And you can see it here. Oh, it's taken out its all-time high just about. I'm pretty sure that is, hang on, 3.27. And the all-time high is 3.27. That's exactly where we are right now. We're at the all-time high for Solana dominance, which means that against the Bitcoin pair, it's pushing up to take out 52-week highs, and against Ethereum, it's pushing up to take out 52-week highs as well. So Solana is absolutely ripping in comparison to the big dogs in the space. Now, I just posted this one. So Sol is essentially the ultimate U-shaped recovery. I mean, look at this. This has just been absolutely dominating. And what about upside targets? So I was having a look at some of the potential upside targets. Now let's have a look here on the live chart. So let's have a look and see where it is on price to its all-time high. So this is Solana to its all-time high. Needs to go up another 30%. If you do a drawdown, it's only 27% from its all-time high. So, I mean, that's really not that far away, let's be honest, especially after clearing our 0.618 on the linear scale here. It's kind of there. It's kind of there still. I mean, we haven't got a weekly close there, but I mean, it's pretty much there, right? So this is 259, and you know, where could we potentially go after that? Now, I mean, there's probably some pretty crazy targets out there, but at least I'll just tell you the 1.618. So that's Fibonacci extensions, which when in price discovery, these are typical places where price could go based on that. And I'm not even going to bother looking at logarithmic scale because, and that's what I would usually use, but the 1.618 is like 2,200 or something. But we're looking at 414 and 457 as the golden pocket. Well, I've got the red pocket here because it's an extension. And then we got 666 at the 2.618. But regardless, right here, that would be, at least from where we are now, about still like 130% roughly. I think my targets are about 300, as in like where I believe Sol could go is about 350, which is still about 88% away. So, and it's pretty good, still pretty good at this stage. But yeah, I mean, hopefully you were buying in the buy zone, right? So you can sit back and enjoy now. The only Solana I've been buying personally is rotating capital from meme coins into Solana. So that way, when I consider how much money I've made from meme coins, I can have that profit baked into my price for Sol. I know that's probably not the way you should do it, but essentially that's mentally the only reason why I buy meme coins is to rotate that capital into Solana so I can have more Sol, essentially, which I've already done a significant amount. And I covered that on videos, I think a week ago or so, where I was saying my main goal is to essentially accumulate more Sol, and I'll use meme coins to do it. Sure, why not? And live on the show, here we go. Solana's pushing to that 190 level again, but anyway, it's not a live show anyway, so maybe by the time you see this, Solana will be well into 190 after I finish processing this. So pretty crazy. It's crazy to see. I mean, if you were bullish on Sol before, then you must be having a pretty good day today, right? I mean, this is the Sol bull day, let's be honest. Now, let's have a look at the market cap. So as I said here, just so you're aware, Solana's put in a new inflation-adjusted all-time high. So this means Solana's market cap has exceeded its 2021 top, factoring in circulating supply. So right now it's at $120 billion market cap. It got to about 100 billion, just a little bit over, and it's already exceeded that and probably pushing above it now. So there you go. That's what I mean by inflation-adjusted all-time high. That's when factoring in the market cap. So there you go. We are at all-time highs technically, but not on price. And we're at 190 right now as we speak. There it is right there, 191, and it's just going ballistic. Anyway, if only this was a live show, this would be fun, right? We could draw the house like Benjamin Cowan does and just watch Solana rip through the top of the roof and destroy the house. Anyway, bullish Solana, huh? So Flexlend. Now, if you've taken any profits, hopefully not on Sol yet, but anyway, like if you have, then that's fine. And don't get FOMO on profits, because profits aren't profits till you take them, right? So, but if you have and you've sold into USDC, well, I see Flexlend as one of the perfect places to put it. So the way I see it is Flexlend is the ultimate stablecoin savings account. It's like our version of the Anchor protocol. So if you know what that is, but it doesn't have the Ponzonomics of the Anchor protocol, like guaranteed yield and all this sort of crazy stuff. Like, where was that yield going to come from? Well, this is literally coming from participants within the Solana ecosystem. So people are borrowing like US dollar stablecoin, either a USDT or USDC, and there's so many people borrowing against a limited supply that the APYs are exceptionally high right now. But they're obviously deploying that into whatever it is that they're buying, as they feel like they will outperform the debt or the interest that they have to pay on that. So, I mean, if they're fine with that, then I'm happy to lend them so they can perform their degen activities. And we get 23, 24%. Not only that, but we also get a cycle of points within various money markets and ecosystems. So I don't think you get points for supplying to Drift, admittedly. So, I mean, you get some points for supplying for trading in Drift, but I don't think you get points for just supplying liquidity. But regardless, these are some very high numbers as far as I'm concerned. And I think it's a big win because we get the airdrop points, which are essentially cycling between Camino and Margin 5 for the most part. These are the two that I see the most. And they're the ones where supplying assets are rewarded with points, which will be translated to airdrops in the not too distant future, most likely next month. So if you want more Solana bull fuel, then go check out Invest Answers Retire on Solana video. I mean, yeah, definitely makes you feel a little bit more euphoric than you probably should feel, admittedly. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty cool. I'm pretty sure in the video he said, well, it's essentially like around 200 to 300 Sol is all you need to retire. I think he said in 10 years or something like that. I'm not really sure. I would have to watch it again. I mean, I watched it 3 times today, but I didn't catch the number anyway, at least. But if you've got anything over 500 Sol, then you are going to make it, as far as I'm concerned. Some places like Vietnam was only about 100 Sol that you are needed to retire, which is pretty nuts. So only 12 days ago, I said that, and it was even, I guess it was probably like 14, 15 days ago, where I did my 2-second TA for Jupiter, where I said, trend line, got to break above it and hold above this structure. That structure failed, came back down, and we got another break of the trend line, and then we held it. I said, hold above this level due to these 2 factors, and also something else that I was seeing, which I'll show in a sec. Then we are off to the races. Now, my entry target was 0.55, essentially. You see here, if you hold above this level, so we came out above it and we held a support, that's 0.55. So that's a breakout and retest, essentially, because if we're coming back above this bearish structure, then that's very bullish, right? And what happened after that? Well, just today, Jupiter has hit all-time highs by a insane amount. I mean, come on, this is just insane. This is crazy. So all of this was here. That was where I was saying that. I was like, yep, that's the trend line there. That's the bearish structure to hold. And then it's gone up like 167%. I think most of the people who had their airdrop that were willing to sell it have sold. And so now it's people that just want to buy, because Jupiter has a lot of really big things planned for people who stake within the DAO. But right now, I mean, it's even gone up in the last 4 hours, an additional 6%. So I did say in my last video that I was going to sell half of my Jupiter airdrop at $1. So it was $1, $1.20, and $1.30. Those were my targets. And also sold a little bit at 90 cents. So, I mean, this is money that I'm using to live. So, you know, essentially that's the only reason why I did that. But I've still got half of my airdrop. Remember, I had 21,000. So the other half is being staked. And it's quite a lot, in my opinion, 21,000, considering we could go to like $13, which is the Uniswap all-time high. So I'm pretty happy with having just 10,000. I don't think that's a little amount. I think that's still quite a lot. And we are seeing, at least in price action, we're approaching my next target, which was $1.50. What am I going to do at $1.50? Literally nothing. I just like to have these targets for whatever reason, but I'm not doing anything at the target. That is probably a next spot for some potentially heavy selling pressure. If you know Whale's Tail, he's a Solana Twitch streamer. That's his sell target for his airdrop. I'm sure he has quite a bit he's going to sell. So anyway, I'm super bullish Jupiter. And let's go into some of the developments within the Jupiter ecosystem. So on the planetary call, they reinforced their concept of the ASR, which is the active staking rewards, as opposed to passive staking. Now, passive staking means you just basically stake your assets and you don't do anything and they just earn yield essentially. So what the active staking reward system is, if you stake your Jupiter, then you've got to go into the DAO and you've got to vote for projects. And then you get reflected tokens, most likely from those projects when they come out. Plus you get 75% of the fees generated by the Launchpad. I mean, that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, I want to buy Zeus's token anyway, which is, as I mentioned in the last video, that's who I voted for, because it brings Bitcoin liquidity, which is a lot of money, potentially into the Solana ecosystem. So, you know, and then we could be potentially earning yield on Bitcoin again, like the old days, because there haven't been that much yield on Bitcoin lately. But, you know, if we do get some potential yield on Bitcoin in Solana, then that's going to bring a lot of TVL in, and then we'll just probably smash BNB chain and whoever else we have to contend with, at least in terms of TVL. And they ask, will active staking rewards become a new DeFi standard for allocating and staking incentives? Now, the reason why I think that it's good is because it keeps people sticky and engaged, right? So you can just hold dupe, sure, whatever, and not really know what goes on and just not even care. But if you have to participate to earn rewards, then you have to kind of know what's going on in the ecosystem. So that keeps people engaged, which is really good for the Solana ecosystem. And I think that will perk a lot of interest in the Solana ecosystem and keep people curious, I would think, based on the ASR schema. And just so you know, these faces here, that's Kashtanda, who runs the Dupe Planetary Calls, or is the host, and there's Soju there, one of the team of Jupiter. Another interesting thing that Jupiter has introduced is the value average beta. So it allows users to auto invest in tokens based on price action. Really cool stuff. It also shows some backtest results, which is really cool. So these guys are just really adding some really cool, powerful tools for traders and adding more value to the Solana ecosystem really as a whole, and bringing more traders, I think, in to use Solana in general, because I mean, these are some pretty powerful tools like DCA and limit orders and even perps and stuff like that, plus the bridge comparator. These are all incredibly useful tools and just absolutely decimate the usefulness of Uniswap. I mean, Uniswap is a liquidity provisioning tool and a swap platform. Like, what else is there? Nothing, kind of boring, and there's nothing really else going on. Jupiter has got a lot going on. This thing is absolutely huge for the Solana ecosystem as a whole. Moving on, we have some information. Again, I mentioned this in a few prior videos ago, but just to remind you, we have pre-launch markets for points and for token airdrops coming to Drift. So you can trade perps or airdrop tokens and points in the future. So, I mean, that'll be pretty cool. And I mentioned Zeus briefly before, and again, I've mentioned it in great level of detail in prior videos, but let's just talk about it again, huh? So Zeus provides hope and unseen imagination for both Bitcoin and Solana communities. It won't be easy, but they are committed to developing a one-of-a-kind cross-chain experience powered by the Solana virtual machine. Now, let's get into a little bit of gaming news on Solana. So we have Star Atlas have sold their first Star Atlas Titan ship, the PST-1, for $5 million. That's absolutely crazy. So, I mean, that's someone obviously deemed that worthy. I mean, look at the size of this thing. That's a $5 million ship. So Solana gaming is on the rise. There's no doubt about that. And further to that, we have Killer Bears NFT, which is a game, is bridging to Solana on March the 20th. So first ever Ethereum-based gaming project is going to move to Solana. So it's a pretty big deal. And in a recent interview with Solana Floor, Cohen, who is the Killer Birds CEO, so that's Ben Cohen, addressed the decision to migrate to Solana, highlighting the importance of user experience. And he's saying what we started to feel on ETH was that no matter how great we made the experience, the speed of the blockchain transaction and sometimes the cost would sour the experience of the user. And yeah, I mean, I would say that's pretty accurate. Solana's lightning fast, low transaction costs would absolutely alleviate this critical pain point. So that's pretty bullish. Also, another thing that I thought was quite interesting is that the Phantom wallet on the Apple App Store has moved up above MetaMask in ranking. So MetaMask is now 47 and the Phantom wallet is 34. So well deserved, I think. Phantom wallet is significantly better than MetaMask wallet in my opinion. The thing I hate the most about the MetaMask wallet is the approval for USDT spend and all this horrible stuff that just really slows down the whole process. I mean, EVM chains are slow enough without adding extra steps to the whole process. I hate it personally. And there's other things that I think are really clunky about it. Though, you know, admittedly, it works on a lot of chains. So it's kind of like Windows, how it works on a lot of different pieces of hardware, but it's just slower. Whereas Phantom's mainly for Solana, although it does work with Polygon, Bitcoin, Ethereum as well. But it's a superior experience overall, as far as I'm concerned. So well deserved. Now, this is really, really, really cool. And this gives even more use cases to those with Solana Saga phones. So the co-founder, Anatoly Yakovenko, tried out SolChat for the first time and commented it worked. Pretty impressed with how fast they built it. So what is this thing? This is a way for you to call and message encrypted at rest and in transit over the Solana blockchain. This is insane. This is a blockchain the way you can call and text on. So this is from SolChat themselves. So exciting news. We're thrilled to share that we've successfully conducted the first ever SolChat video call on our DApp with none other than Anatoly Yakovenko, the co-founder of Solana. This groundbreaking event marks a significant moment in their journey, bringing together innovation, collaboration, and insights from a key figure in the blockchain space. So I did buy this token and it went up a few 100% since, but you know, for the most part, I just think this is a really, really cool concept. And it makes sense, right? So, you know, Anatoly Yakovenko used to be a head engineer at Qualcomm who make chips for mobile phones. So this kind of felt like a natural evolution of things. You know, you've got all the DePIN coming to Solana and everything like that. So Wallet to Wallet video call DApp reports over 2,200 users are actively using SolChat on Solana. So that was actually a few days ago now. So it's probably more than that now. And you can literally see their wallet addresses here as well. bit of a dox, but at the very least you can see the call's working, right? That's live. That's the call working. So how cool is that? Now let's get into some more airdrop updates. So this is just me, and there's probably people out there who are, you know, even more fortunate, and I'm no whale by any stretch of the imagination. You know, I don't come from money, you know, I've got a poor background, everything like that when I was a kid, all that sort of stuff. But regardless, this just goes to show that, at least for me, because my perception of money isn't crazy, ludicrous like some people with millions of dollars, or tens of millions of dollars, I guess. This is the kind of money that can change people's lives. So my JITO airdrop currently is worth, and this is actually old now. I did this morning, but this is old now, and this is not correct because this would be worth even more right now. But anyway, let's just have a look. JITO Sol, so I got a JTO airdrop. A lot of people got this amount. It's currently worth 15,700. A lot of people. All they needed was a very small amount of JITO Sol, and this is all they got. And if you had multiple wallets, then you would be even more well off than this. Jupiter, I guess I had a pretty big Jupiter allocation, and that's because I put through several $100,000 in volume over the course of 2.5 years, but it's worth $25,000. That's insane. And that's worth even more right now because Jupiter's actually, again, pushed its all-time high. It's gone to 1.5. I mean, there it is right there. So if I did a calculation of this again, it'd be even higher, right? We got PIF. That was pretty standard, I think. I think a lot of people would have gotten this one. That's worth about $4,000 roughly. I got 583 when, so on and so forth. Also my wormhole, and that was literally every other chain was to go to and from Solana, essentially. So I'd go out to other chains, do some stuff, bring that money back to Sol. So that's why I've classified it as a Sol airdrop. That's 6686, which is currently valued at 10,000. KMNO, I showed you the calculations in the last video, how you can work out roughly what your points could be. It's about 3,100. It's almost $60,000, it'd be over $60,000. And we're not even done yet. We've got April, right? So this is the kind of money, in my opinion, that changes lives. Like, I reckon this changes lives personally. Like, this is a house deposit for some people. This is, you know, paying off debt. This is any number of things, right? So this is some life-changing stuff. And what do I mean by we're not even done yet? Well, I mean, April, we've got more airdrops coming in April. We've got Magic Eden, we've got Parcel, we've got Drift, we've got Grass, we've got Wormhole and Camino. And then we've got Marginfly after this, right? And these are all at least confirmed for April next month. So, I mean, this is some really big stuff to look forward to. Also, make sure to check out, you know, if you want to know your allocations, the Solana airdrop checker. It now has W as in wormhole, and that's just for Solana addresses. But again, remember, if you want to see this, just go and find Jasuchiko over on X, and you can click the link in the bio there. So be the Solana airdrop checker, and then you can go and check your points. Also, the Whales market has added get grass points to the markets on there. So you can work out roughly how much your grass points will be worth. So if you don't know what grass is, then it is a way for you to farm tokens by sharing your unused internet bandwidth. Now, it doesn't really work if you've got VPN turned on, so just keep that in mind. But anyway, you can go and check what your points will be worth over there. Now into some Memecoin stuff. Now, the Memecoin stuff is a little bit quiet right now because I think it kind of needs to take a breather after some massive pumps. Obviously, with, you know, for example, Pepe started to turn around a little bit. We've got Wen taking a breather, that's for sure. Dog with Hat, which is the one, you know, I'm about to talk about in the moment, has sort of taking a bit of a breather. I mean, come on, look at this though. This is crazy. This has been up only for quite some time. And Bonk is also taking a bit of a breather as well. Still up about 100% from my entry, but anyway. So it's nice to see a bit more, you know, developments on the sort of crypto space that isn't memes, and for the memes to take a bit of a break and maybe get rotated into some tier 1 stuff. We've got this Dog with Hat raised over $681,000 to be featured on the Sphere in Vegas. So, I mean, this is one thing that I did say when I shared this. I was like, remember when we saw crypto exchanges buying up sports stadiums in the States like Crypto.com and FTX? So anyway, this is just a word of warning that was the top in the last crypto market. So, you know, let's just be a bit careful here. But anyway, that's happening, you know, whether you like it or not. When, for example, is the meme coin for Jupiter Exchange. Now, remember, any like bullishness from Jupiter Exchange could blow off over into when the next sort of meme cycle picks back up after this little breather we've got. And I think that Wen could easily hit $1 billion market cap, I reckon, which is over a 4x from here. Because when I posted this was when it was up above a little bit more where it is now. It's a 300% from here. So are you ready for it? I don't know. I think I am. All right, let's power through the rest. I'll just cover a couple of things in Cosmos and the Injective ecosystem. So we have the INJX presale mainnet launch. They are the first DEX aggregator on Injective. So what's that? Like Injective version of Jupiter, right? So these guys are a DEX aggregator. They'll find the cheapest route for swapping any token. We need this. We need this, the INJX. So I'm pretty bullish on this. So low transaction fees, liquidity pools for various DEXs, and solid partnerships. The DYOR, obviously. They're already doing a token. It took Jupiter ages to do a token, so they're already jumping onto the token bandwagon. But anyway, this is definitely something to keep your eye on if you're bullish on aggregators, things like the Jupiter exchange on the Injective ecosystem. Also, we saw Eric from Injective Labs talk about Solana a fair bit. So we got Solana Crossroads here, which is the Istanbul, and that's in May. It's a big announcement for Crossroad attendees. So Eric is actually going to be talking at the Istanbul conference, and it's most likely about the SVM integration into Injective. So if you are a Rust developer building dApps on Solana and you want to get exposure to the Injective ecosystem, then, well, you should be able to port these across with ease, because inSVM allows for this, because they've got inEVM, which is for EVM, Ethereum Virtual Machine, and inSVM, which is for running Solana dApps on Injective. So that's pretty cool. That's not for a while yet, but anyway. Also, the babaDOJO dashboard is up and running, so you can see how much babaDOJO has reflected Dojo into your portfolio. So the first dividend payout for Dojo tokens for babaDOJO is in 2.5 hours time. Well, it's now, because this was a few days ago now. So by holding my babaDOJO airdrop, I've already claimed 15, but I've got another 5 to claim. So, you know, you can just come down to the bottom and claim them here. So it's kind of slowed down a little bit, but anyway, the more volume takes place on the babaDOJO token, the more of these tokens you get reflected into here, where you can claim at any time. And then anything you claim, you can go and stake over in the Ninja Vault. Now, I mean, Dojo went back up to $1 and over $1, but the recent bearish price action kind of brought that down a little bit. So anyway, it is what it is. Just going to farm more Dojo anyway. And I expect some good things for these projects overall. Now let's have a look at the comparison. And this is after the Dankun upgrade for Ethereum of gas fees. So we've got base with about 27 cents per transaction. Pretty cheap. Starting at 30 cents with blob. The hell blob. And Injective is 0.00137 cents comparatively. And that's as of March. So, I mean, this is so much cheaper. This is actually even slightly cheaper than Solana. If you come at this from a ETH bull perspective, then, I mean, they'll show you where there was one Arbitrum transaction that was less than a cent. And then they compare to Solana on a busy day where they've actually manually adjusted the gas to be high priority, where it was about 1 cent. But I mean, Arbitrum's still not that cheap. Arbitrum for me, like I did a transaction the other day after Dankun and it was about 20 cents. So I've got no idea where these ETH bulls are getting this information from, but whatever. I mean, I think any of us can probably pull this stuff out of our, where if we really want to make a comparison. Also, the MitoFinance Launchpad went through pretty well. So I got my HDRO. It's not really worth a hell of a lot. So that's fine. I'm just staking it at the moment. And actually this has actually gone up about 2x since the launchpad. It's not too bad though. It hasn't aggressively sold off or anything like that, but it did go up like 100% at one point. So I'm just going to hold on to this, and I've got it currently farming away in the MitoFinance vault. So anyway, let's move on. Cosmos ecosystem updates. So we've got the Nibiru ecosystem and chain has gone live. So this is the Nibiru chain. I've covered this in previous videos. This was an airdrop farm where I think I got about $30 worth of tokens from the airdrop. So yay, big deal. The Cosmos, when I talk about before with Solana ecosystem stuff versus this, well, I'm not a whale in the Cosmos ecosystem or anything like that. I don't have a lot of money in there. So that's probably why I don't get a lot, because it's all pretty plutocratic, as in those with more money have more influence, so to speak. That's a plutocracy, which is pretty much like the world when it comes to governments and stuff. But we've got some really cool stuff building out on the Nibiru ecosystem there. So there's quite a bit going on. It's not heaps, but it's definitely something. And they're pretty new, so we'll have to see how that all builds out. There's a big post here about all the different things that are coming. So definitely there's definitely some decent dApps that are developing on Nibiru. Now, Nibiru was a airdrop farm that was a social engagement airdrop farm, so you had to like and repost and stuff and engage on their tweets. I like this art, actually. This looks pretty cool. I think that was really cool anyway. And when it comes to the airdrop claim, well, I was going to do a video on it, but I decided what's the point? Because Ron from Box Mining did a really cool video. So if you don't know what box mining is, but you want to know more about the claim process for Nibiru, then go and give this video a watch. I did post it on my X, so you can go and check it out there, or just check out Box Mining. And this is basically how you claim your airdrop for that. So there's quite a few steps. You've got to do face verification and a few other things, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, the testnet got rewarded very handsomely. I didn't do enough in the testnet, or early enough, so I didn't really get anything for that. But anyway, just in case you did, there is a really cool video here that you can watch for more information on the claim process for the airdrop. Also, we have NIM. This airdrop is confirmed, 9% of the supply. We airdropped to Dymension stakers, so that's pretty cool. So one of the first of many Dymension staker airdrops. So here we go. Genesis rollup, 9%, fully unlocked at Genesis. So not staked or anything like, not vested or anything like that. It'll be available immediately. And yes, they call them roll drops because it's a roll app on Dymension. So anyway, that's, I guess I will technically call this Cosmos ecosystem, which is why I'm bundling it in here. Now I've got a couple of Ethereum ecosystem updates here. We've got the Manta ReParadigm airdrop event. And I spoke about around New Year's, the farming that I was doing with Manta. So this is more potential airdrop opportunities within the Manta ecosystem, but this is for the individual dApps on Manta. So at the moment, I'm farming Layer Bank. That's the one I've chosen to farm, and it's a lending and borrowing protocol. And so 3% of the token supply is going to them. Although there's some other ones that are way better, like this Real Perp. But anyway, if you stake WUSDM Stone Manta, you get additional rewards from top ecosystem projects on Manta Pacific, each allocating a percentage of their token supply to drive growth. Now, I was going to bridge this over to Manta Pacific, my Manta tokens, but when I looked at the staking, I saw that there was like a minimum of well and truly more than what I had got airdropped to me. Like, I still got an okay amount, but I just decided, what's the point in bridging across when I can farm more tokens and airdrops and stuff like that within the ETH Layer 2 ecosystem. And here we go, Renew Paradigm. This is what you want to come and have a look at if you did that. So check it out. Also, Cozy was like, Solana's down again. No, wait, it's just Blast, my bad. It's an ETH L2 though, so that's fine, right? So interesting, when ETH L2s go down, it doesn't mean anything, but when Solana goes down, then it's all about the grave dancing, right? So anyway, Blast went down briefly. It came back up pretty quickly though, so not that big a deal, I wouldn't say. But anyway, Blast, just so you know, is an ETH L2 that is developed by the same team that made Blur. So there was already a rug project on there, unfortunately. But anyway, there's also plenty of like kind of airdrops and stuff over there. I won't cover too much about the ecosystem though anyway, because I don't know like if there's any point at this stage, I guess because I'm more bullish on Solana. But anyway, seen some more people talk about Metamask airdrops. So again, we're talking about Ethereum, but let me take you back in a time machine to 2021 when people were talking about it back then. So up only FTX. I mean, that puts some things into perspective. We've got people talking about airdrop farming Metamasks from April 14, 2023. It just keeps going. Like, you can go back further than this, but it's like something that pops up time and time again. Look, December 2021. This was at the end of the last bull market. So, you know, if some people talking about Metamask airdrops, well, they've been talking about it for like 3-4 years now. So, you know, don't hold your breath. I mean, it probably will happen. It'll probably come eventually, right? But as in, it's probably not going to come anytime soon. So anyway, just thought I would address that and just quickly update on the XRP trade, which I mentioned in the last video. So I figured I would mention it again. I mean, it just sold off pretty much entirely, that entire candle like it did last time. But I have to say that this is kind of an important trend line. This trend line here that it broke out of is a 7-year-long descending trend line. 7 years. Yes, that's right. XRP broke out from a 7-year-long downtrend. So consider that. It's actually incredibly bullish if it can hold above this level. The question is, has it held above the level? And the answer is it has. So it's holding the level just barely. But again, as I said in the last video, if this can hold this level, this is incredibly bullish. Let's have a look at the weekly chart, right? Look at this. Look at this. This has just been going on and on and on forever. So anyway, don't expect a new all-time high, but if you are in a trade here, then don't get shaken out just yet. It did sell off pretty aggressively, but we're still up. At least for me, I'm up from entry by 12% roughly. But at least when it comes to this breakout, it's still looking okay. That bloody Solana chart, I swear. Look at this thing. Anyway, so I did say in a post here on X, I said I haven't really revealed much about my crypto portfolio, but here are my top 10 holdings in order, minus stables and LSDs. So this has actually changed a little bit, but that is my top 10. No one actually said if they wanted to see my whole portfolio. I'd get some likes, I guess, but anyway, I'll show it at some stage in the future. But anyway, that's kind of my top 10. And even though I sold half my JUP, it's still at the 3rd spot in my portfolio. This just goes to show how much money that is. Although, admittedly, my Bitcoin and Solana positions are outsized to a vast degree compared to those, but anything below this. But anyway, that's it for the video. So hopefully you liked the video. If you did, then please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this, and hit that bell notification if you want to be alerted when videos come out by me. And go follow me on X if you want all of this alpha and stuff in real time and all of the updates as I see them. So anyway, until the next one, keep safe out there. This is Kryptolytix signing out. Have a good one.